Corporation case number R tilde 385 tilde 460 tilde 312 :U S. Dry dock treaty number R tilde 294 tilde 568 tilde 221 :U S. Global Banking Constitution and lease number R tilde 023 tilde 986 tilde 635 :U S.
I'm zeroing out the balance of the national debt from 1999. I'm zeroing out the debt for the postmasters that have claims to life within the postal banking system. In 2007, I created a company called the Unity-States of America Free-World, because the concept of America was built on constitutional public to be downsized, and we the people had the autonomy to direct the government civil servants on what we chose for our lives, with one foot on the sea and one foot on the land. I'm zeroing out the balance of the national debt from 1999 to the 2024 here, because there is no president. So with one foot in the sea and one foot on the land, I'm authorizing with this bill of lading through the contract flag, Title IV flag, that I'm setting zero balance of a fictional story debt of the U.S. presidents, U.S. presidential elections, rules and guidelines, U.S. Congress, U.S. Treasury, Federal Reserve election, Federal Reserve notes, the United States of America, and the United States military as well. They're in a fictional story since the United States ended in 1999. And since I have the contract rights and the solitary control of the flag to have one foot on the sea and one foot on the land, I'm zeroing the balance in the claimants that have joined the quantum system, that you don't have to participate with the fiction storylines of fake presidents and the psyops of the Stockholm syndrome of the mass psychosis that you see on bombarding us in the societies, acting like there's an actual president. I have footnotes here on the United States and the Benjamin Franklin borrowing the money in 1775, and the end of the United States government in 1999 on the third and final bankruptcies. There are no guidelines for a treasury. There are no guidelines to yoke a debt upon we the people. So in paragraph 1, I'm coming forward to you on a Freedom Week, giving my freedom as Andrew Jackson would do, and saying that, like Andrew Jackson, that the debt and the servitude of the people there's no debt on we the people that have claims to the life. So if you have a claim to the life, you do not have to participate with any debt system from 1999 to this now space date, and we're now dating that as we move through the space of the space. The reason why their money is worthless is because the United States Postal Service authorizes the banking system. But in 1999, the United States Postal System, through the fake presidential election of 2000, with the Florida Chad, vacated the estate of the presidency. And that's all done. You can read on that on the Prevention Act in the congressional record if you want to go do the searching note on that. And my treaty-captain, Colin Robert-Newberg-Horton, and his teams have done the due diligence on that.
So after a 12-year run, on December 21st, 2012, Commander-in-Chief Russell J. Gould and David Windmiller went down and opened up the Benjamin Franklin Post Office in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, when you look at Washington, D.C., you have Admiralty. That is the Admiralty and Maritime Jurisdiction of the Sea, because it belonged to the King of Great Britain. And that's how he runs his country, under the Admiralty and Maritime Law of the Sea. Everybody's considered a little boat or a little vessel or a piece of cargo that's presumed missing, dead, or lost at sea. Same thing here in the United States. So that's the Admiralty and Maritime Jurisdiction of the Sea. So then he goes down to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is the civil jurisdiction law of the land, and opens up the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania Post Office, which had been closed down with the start of the American Revolution. and it couldn't be opened back up because they owed 1.6 million francs to the French, so they were in bankruptcy. Bankrupt people can't contract, so they weren't allowed to open up commerce through that post office. So DC had to come in and put its post office, Great Britain had to come in and put its post office in up there. If they didn't, Spain or France was going to do it. So by opening up the Benjamin Franklin Post Office in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, he took the entire government system back down to the original location along with the flag and posted that Title IV flag up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And by doing so, since the birth certificate system ended, he now presents everybody with a claim of life, thereby shipping you out of the land of the dead and back onto the land in the civil jurisdiction, law of the land, where the blood testifies to the life. And with that, reconstitutes the entire American government again in a proper manner under the correct Title IV flag, using the correct communication, parse, syntax, grammar to establish all of his systems of government on this planet for you to then conduct commerce here in the United States. There are no more laws, rules, and regulations. There was no longer a president. There was no longer a president. There was no longer a president. There are no more laws, rules, and regulations in relation to the old system. They've all been disqualified.
The reason why I have worthless things on here is the authorization for there to be a money in the former United States and on the North American continent doesn't exist in fiction because it doesn't say anything. It would have to come through me, through the flag, to be correct with the correct communication, parse, syntax, grammar, for the establishment of a fact so that people could have wealth. So now the claimants and the neutrals and the postmasters and sovereigns that have joined the quantum banking system and the global postal union constructs globally, they don't have to participate with these fiction debts. So you are free. This is my gift to the claimants. I'm very honored and humbled that, number one, I put this together for all of you, and doing the best I can to be the best leader I can for each and every one of us. And I have to check myself. I love every one of you. I love myself. Andrew Jackson was a man of tenacity, and he really cared about the people. And I really value that of how his approach was to separate the freedoms of the people from that of the banks and the government. And because it's the 4th of July weekend and celebration of the concepts of the Founding Fathers, I would like to talk about some of the quotes of Andrew Jackson. You are a den of vipers, and I intend to rout you out by the eternal God. I will rout you out. If the people only understood the rank of injustice of our money and banking system, there would be a revolution before morning. A concept because he was studying the concepts of banking and how the banks were moving in on the people to steal the lands, steal the rights, and create a credit and debit system to place the citizens into servitude. Another quote that I really liked from Andrew Jackson, because he had so many of them: when you get in debt, you become a slave. We have to really think about that. This is a freedom weekend, and this is a freedom week. Another statement that I really liked here is, there are no necessary evils in government. Its evils only exist in its abuses. Think about that for a minute. With the United States government ending in 1999, what abuses have happened since 1999 and what they've been able to get away with their fake presidential elections and their fake wars and their fake monetary system just up and running. It's an evil that exists in the abuses of not telling the people that there is no Congress, there is no president since 1999 when we came out of the third and final bankruptcy. So that's a fascinating statement as well. And another one that I really like is, but for you must remember, my fellow citizens, that eternal vigilance by the people is the price of liberty, and that you must pay the price if you wish to secure its blessings. Not a lot of people have stood up for the moral consciousness and the concepts of the Founding Fathers. I've taken a different approach because of the grammar and what I've learned in the quantum banking system and what I've created, but the vigilance of the path that I've chosen to take, Andrew Jackson and some of his tenacity, I really think that it's a valuable thing that the citizens do need to stand up for themselves, and it is the price of liberty to stand on one's moral values and look at the values of where we come from. So have one more last one by Andrew Jackson. Every man is equally entitled to protection by law, but when the laws undertake to add artificial distances, to grant titles, gratuities, and exclusive privilege, to make the rich richer and the potent more powerful, the humble members of societies, like the farmers, mechanics, laborers, who have neither the time nor means to secure like favors to themselves, have the right to complain of injustices of their government. The systems that are attacking the people have been placed into their artificial intelligence system. As many of you know, since the United States government doesn't exist, the judicial systems have been placed under the control of the U.S. Army Psychological Warfare Department and the U.S. Cyber Command. And it's the Cyber Command databases under multi-domain functions that tell the courthouses who to attack, how to attack them, and run the algorithms to attack we the people, how they've used their weaponry of AI against we the people. Corporation case R period, tilde 385, tilde 460, tilde 312, U period S period. I'm authorizing the U.S. Department of Navy to stop the electromagnetic pulses to create the brainwashing of the citizens on the North American continent, to shut down your radio wave frequencies of the mind control being run by the U.S. Department of Navy, as well as DARPA globally, to brainwash the citizens to think that there's an actual presidential election, that there's an actual U.S. government. This is nothing can be further from the truth. So we need to lift the pulsation off the mind control systems that the U.S. military is engaged against we the people. Very dangerous thing that you boys are playing there. There's some of us that know what's going on, and we're on to the Stockholm Syndrome, and our minds are free. Those of us with claims of the life, our minds are free. And we have moral compass. We value God and Christ-like concepts. We value being accountable for what we do. We're neutral. But we're not in your war theaters. But we're not going to be part of your mind control and your brainwashing of the minds of the citizens here. We've come out of that. So I'm authorizing the Department of Navy to shut down the DARPA programs that are causing the Stockholm Syndrome of the fake presidential elections and the fake U.S. government, and to end the wars globally and bring the U.S. soldiers and the U.S. troops home to step and take care of our boundaries and the people here, because the people here are who you work for. And I am a public servant as Postmaster Adjutant General. I'm giving you the authorizations with 1 foot in the sea and 1 foot on the land. Come home, shut off the brainwash tools that you have activated against we the people, and to allow the people the freedom of choice to find their God, to find the neutrality and love and peace in their heart. For the citizens that have claims to the life, there's nothing more powerful than authenticity and love. Love is the most powerful tool, and we must hold on to keep our minds and our thoughts in capture, because there is a dirty game being played against us, and the data points are everywhere. We have to be very cautious, because they've set up a cyborg system with these electromagnetic pulses, and they can pulsate into these people, and they keep the fake storylines going, right? So they think that there's going to be a presidential election. This is all just theater, and they keep the people wound up. They also keep the people in division and hatred. This is very dangerous. And so they keep people division of class or of race and of color and of different concepts that we now believe that, two men can have a baby, and all these fake storylines that they've bombarded us with. And these are the programs that DARPA and the U.S. military is using against us. And they've created the cyborg system with the graphene oxide and the mass genocide, the bioweapon, the non-traditionalists who have taken the bioweapon and turned themselves into a non-traditional being on this planet. And so we have to be very cautious of them. But I'm authorizing the U.S. Navy to turn off the electromagnetic pulses and the mind control systems on the citizens of the North American continent. Very dangerous thing. Another thing that we need to be cognizant of as claimants here, and you have all the freedoms in the world of neutrality, is the U.S. judicial system is closed and it's not authorized to do anything. So it's placed all their data servers and all their control mechanisms of their public servants through their AI systems. And so that's all being run through Fort Meade and the DoD through Cyberspace Command. So all the data servers for all the courthouses that attack the lawfare against the people are being run by the algorithms of the AI. And it's a false idol, their God. We're made in the image of our Creator, and we're not transhumanists, and they play games with our telomeres and the monos and all the things and all the strands and all the stories. But at the end of the day, there are very evil abuses here, like Andrew Jackson was saying, and the abuses need to be stopped. We need to take the mind control and the Stockholm Syndrome off the people and come out of the fake storylines. And so that blessings, love your family, have a great 4th of the July weekend and week, and blessings on your now space. Love your families, your loved ones. Keep your heads on a swivel and be at peace with your claim to life, and live in your neutrality. Blessings on the sovereigns and claimant. God bless you all, and have a great, great week.
Crossed beam over the horizon radars, such as the giant Soviet woodpecker transmitters, are ideal for use as carriers of wires for distant, time-reversed wave interferometry. A return time-reversed signal of extreme power can be delivered directly to that target. Almost all of the transmitted time-reversed wave energy will arrive at and in that distant target, even through a highly nonlinear medium or under scattering conditions. Hardly any of the energy will be lost en route. If the target is fast-moving, a lead correction signal can be calculated and added to steer the return path. Second, real-time holography can readily be accomplished using time-reversed waves and without first making holograms. In addition, by using pumped four-wave mixing, as much energy as one desires can be placed into the distant hologram, including even negative energy, which cancels an equal amount of positive energy. Powerful geometrical forms, balls, shapes, hemispherical shells, and so forth, of electromagnetic energy can be created at a distance quite readily by interferometry or crossed beam techniques using time-reversed waves. Since the TR wave carriers do not disperse with distance, these interference energy forms can be assembled by crossing TR wave beams at great distances, even at thousands of miles.
But they still want to take over the world, but they figure it's costly to do it with military operations. And the way to do it is to, you all know about the planetary grid. It's a structure, kind of a geodesic structure of the planet, in which there are certain power centers, and they all form a very elaborate link. You can read about it in the magazine called Pursuit. They've run about 3 stories on it in the last 2 years. Anyway, this planetary grid, if you are on a power center, and there are several hundred of these power centers, you can then use occult influence, which means you use somebody who's a very powerful sender of thoughts and energy, and from that point you radiate out your thoughts and influence people without their knowing they're being influenced. So this is the current program of the neo-Nazis to take over the world. And what they do is, if the power center they locate, according to their own grid, is on land, they will try to find exactly where it is, actually go out and do the survey, and then they buy that land, and they put one of their people on there who is a very highly trained psychic. And they're buying up property all over the planet this way. And I knew the guy in England who was in charge of that particular operation. And this is what drove all the scientists nuts in 1976, when the Russians first came on the air with the ELF signals being sent out from Russia. What drove them crazy was, here's a wave that can go through the entire Earth without being attenuated. In other words, it doesn't lose any energy to any surrounding system. And yet when it hits a human head or a body, it does interact and the signal is absorbed. This soliton is picked up. And it's taken 7 years of research, particularly by the Navy, to find out that this hydrogen bond here is sensitive to frequency. And there are certain very critical frequencies, like 7.82 is a good frequency. It actually reinforces the integrity of DNA. Well, there are a number of things that I was involved in all that craziness, but the first thing was our military, we did a lot of briefings at the Pentagon, couldn't believe that this simple scheme would do what the Russians are doing. So they had to put up a lot of money and duplicate it first. Then they found out, yeah, the Russians are doing it, Tesla was right, etc., etc. Once they got them going, then they want to know how this little toy works, right? You have to see if you can knock out installations in the Soviet Union, whether they're having their people go nuts or some people are going here, whether disease occurs. So they built one that was at Alice Springs, Australia, a big secret Australian research. So that, then they had to have another one, so they put up another one in South Africa, which is one of the reasons we have friendly relations with South Africa, in case you're interested, because they tolerate our presence there, because from a base in South Africa you can hit a certain part of the Soviet Union that's of great interest to them. And now we got another one going up in Antarctica. So anyways, the damn thing escalates.
And now we got another one going up in Antarctica.
But there are those who believe that this same technology could also be used by DARPA as a new form of mind control. Like their counterparts at the CIA, DARPA-funded researchers have spent decades investigating how the human mind can be altered. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day.
So what's the next step? Maybe the next step is we can send instructions and information to an actual person from a distance with this kind of technology to let another person control their actions. But that could be something that could be malicious.
If there's some way to do it from a distance, a much greater distance than something that you can wear on your scalp, that would be the ultimate technological achievement that would fall into this realm of mind control and direct human-machine interface that DARPA may well want to keep secret.
I'm Sergeant Robert Horton, United States Army Special Operations. I was a psychological operations specialist from 1999 to 2012, and I'm also a son of the American Revolution. Now, everyone is wondering about this Russell J. Gould and David Wynn Miller story, and everybody wants to know what in the world is going on with that. What does it mean, right? Okay, but to understand what it means, you have to understand what's going on planet Earth that you all need to be made aware of so you can understand what it is these guys are talking about, okay? So I'm going to go back to the beginning. This is a very old Masonic system that's operating here on planet Earth, and it is all based upon shipping and postal wars. We took a look at how all this worked. It ran back to the 3 international bankruptcies, like I said, and the third and final international bankruptcy came to an end in 1999. And when that happened, the post office that Great Britain had opened up in the enclave of Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, had to close down. The king had to vacate the position, and the trustee for the bankruptcy had always been the President of the United States. He was the administrator for the bankruptcy, always has been. Well, with the end of the third and final international bankruptcy, the post office was closed down, and so we no longer needed a trustee because there was no more bankruptcy. Russell, understanding what was about to take place here, ran up to the Pentagon and asked the Pentagon if they had a copyright and patent on the Title IV flag for the United States, the Title IV flag. And of course the Pentagon told him, no one's ever asked us that before, Russ, and he said it doesn't matter anyway because the grammar on the contract was all grammar fraud. I've syntaxed it and disqualified it, and my country's about to be captured, and as an American I have the right to protect my flag and my nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and this was a domestic takeover. And now we took a big look at that and we were like, holy cow. So the Navy's sitting in foreign ports around the world. The Florida Chads, during the 1999 Florida Chads, the United States ceased to exist for 90 days. It was done. But there was an 18-day period in there where the post office was closed down. There was no longer a president. There was no longer a president. There was no longer a president. There was no longer a need for a middleman or a trustee anymore.